Hello, it's 8 a.m. Hanoi time. You're with me, Hoa Leung, and let's now check out the headlines for this hour. The 2014 Global Summit of Women kicks off in Paris. G7 concerned by Asian maritime tensions. And the Telefilm 2014 in Ho Chi Minh City swirls up regional television and media industry. The 24th edition of the Global Summit of Women opened on Thursday local time in Paris, France. This business and economic forum for women, which has been an annual event since 1990, aims to raise global awareness about gender equality and improve women's role in society. Vice President Nguyễn Thị Doan led the Vietnamese representatives attending the summit.
The 2014 Global Summit of Women, under the theme Redesigning Economies, Societies, saw the participation of 1,300 representatives from 81 countries. At the opening ceremony, the president of the Global Summit of Women, Arun Natividad, underscored the important role of women in government, business, and civil society. She also stressed that there was still much to do to empower women around the world. Thus, the summit will explore practical strategies and best practices in accelerating women's empowerment worldwide. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls added, the summit is an opportunity for female leaders worldwide to share their personal experiences in order to achieve understanding and empower others. At the summit, Vietnam was introduced as an example for significant progress in improving gender equality, shown in the presence of female leaders in government and businesses. As a special guest and a keynote speaker at the event, Vietnamese Vice President Nguyễn Thị Doan stressed that society cannot flourish without the contribution of women, and gender equality cannot be achieved without everyone's participation.
What do women have to do to overcome the current challenges proposed by the economy? First, we have to understand the difficulties in order to adapt and reach for new opportunities. Second, women's roles need to be valued by governments and businesses around the world because that will ensure the stable development of society.
At the summit, many representatives stressed that women have great potential, but that their presence in political and economic roles was still limited due to many challenges. Around the world, there are only 21 female heads of state and presidents. Only 48% of women are employed, compared to 73% for males. This proves that there is still much to do to improve the role of women in society.
The National Assembly deputies heard a verification report on Friday regarding amendments and supplements to Resolution number 35, which relates to confidence votes assessing the performance of officials elected or approved by the National Assembly and People's Councils. The amendments and supplements to Resolution number 35 mainly focused on the scope, time, and degree of the confidence vote and consequences for those who were received a vote of low confidence. It also aims to clarify some points about the processes and procedures for vote of confidence, which will be conducted once in the third year of each tenure, according to the recent amendments. The exclusive board of Vietnam's General Confederation of Labor held their fourth meeting in Hanoi on Friday. Attending the meeting, the Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng said that the Confederation should continue developing fishery trade unions in order to protect offshore fishermen who contribute to safeguarding the country's sea and island sovereignty. Prime Minister also asked trade unions to work closely with the authorities in improving laborers' lives, protecting their legitimate rights and benefits, and supporting institutional reforms while performing the party and state's policies of global integration. Updates on the current situation in the East Sea. On Friday afternoon, 44 Chinese large iron hook fishing vessels, together with 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships, positioned some 42 nautical miles from the illegally plated oil rig Haiyang Shiyou 981. The information was confirmed by the Vietnam television crew embedded aboard a Vietnamese Coast Guard vessel number 4032.
The area is only 110 nautical miles from Vietnam's mainland and belongs to Vietnam's continental shelf and exclusive economic zone. Over the course of 1 hour, 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships repeatedly approached Vietnam's Coast Guard vessel number 4032, while 5 Chinese iron hull fishing vessels headed straight for it. There were also appearances of Chinese fishing vessels with bulbous bows. These eyewitness testimonies show that the Chinese fishing vessels are capable of causing severe damage should they ram over other vessels. According to the Vietnam Fishing Control Department, the Chinese fishing vessels under the protection of Chinese Coast Guard ships on Friday threw stones and bottles onto Vietnamese boats. Near the area that the oil rig Haiyang Shiyou 981 is illegally placed, Chinese vessels encircled Vietnamese ships and attempted to ram, as well as firing water cannon at them. However, the Vietnamese ships were determined in their duties and reiterated their demand that China remove its oil rig from Vietnam's continental shelf and exclusive economic zone.
The Vietnamese delegation to the United Nations, World Trade Organization, and other international bodies sent a diplomatic note to their counterparts in Geneva on June the 5th. The message provided an update on developments regarding China's illegal placement of its oil rig and provocative actions in the exclusive economic zone and continental shelf of Vietnam. In particularly serious escalation on May the 26th, a Chinese vessel committed the heinous act of sinking Vietnamese fishing boat DNA 90152, which was operating in its traditional fishing grounds near the Hoàng Sa or Paracel archipelago of Vietnam. Vietnamese delegation has resolutely rejected the false allegation that China cited in its delegation's diplomatic note of June the 2nd. The Vietnamese diplomatic note highlighted the policies and goodwill of Vietnam in pursuing peaceful solutions based on international law and the Declaration on the Conduct of Party in the East Sea or DOC with China as well as other concerned countries. In related news, maritime safety in the East Sea was a main point of discussion at the Shangri-La dialogue, and China behaved unprofessionally there. This was a statement made by Dr. Ellie Ratner, Deputy Director of the Asia-Pacific Security Program at the Center for New American Security. His commentary, articles, and research papers have appeared in Foreign Affairs, Foreign Policy, The Washington Post, The New York Times, and The Wall Street Journal, amongst other notable publications. In the following interview, Dr. Ratner will answer questions regarding the East Sea issue following the Shangri-La dialogue.
Dr. Redden, you just come back from Singapore from Shangri-La dialogue. So from the point of view, how was the territorial dispute in the South China Sea was highlighted in the dialogue?
Well, the territorial disputes clearly dominated the discussion in both the large public plenary session as well as in many of the private discussions as well. So there was limited discussion about North Korea, limited discussion about humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, a little bit of discussion about Russia and Ukraine, but I would say almost all the conversation. Clearly, the United States and Japan are very willing to speak out against Chinese assertiveness. I think every country in the region is very concerned about Chinese assertiveness, and clearly there was universal concern about what China's doing.
At the dialogue, the U.S. Defense Secretary strongly criticized China's destabilizing and unilateral action in the South China Sea. Mm-hmm. Why the American side was so vocal this time?
At this year's Shangri-La dialogue, I think the U.S. Defense Minister was stronger this year than he has been in the past, but I think that represents a broader shift in U.S. foreign policy and the rhetoric coming out of the Obama administration. I think if you go back probably to about last November, the administration clearly started taking a harder line against China, I think in response primarily to the ADIZ, the Air Defense Identification Zone that China declared over the East China Sea. He had a number of messages in that speech. I think one of the primary messages was about the enduring presence and role of the United States in the region, that the United States was going to continue to play a leadership role in Asia. And I think another one of the important messages was that one of the unique qualities of the United States is the number of alliances and security partnerships that the United States has, including with countries like Vietnam.
Chinese Deputy Chief of General Staff fired back at Chuck Hagel, saying that Mr. Chuck Hagel's speech was full of hegemony, full of words of intimidation and threat. How do you comment on that?
I think very few people outside of China would agree with that statement. I found the Chinese participation at Shangri-La to be unprofessional and not productive to the overall conversation. So I was surprised by things that General Wang was saying, like China has never taken the first step to cause troubles in the South China Sea. I mean, this is pure propaganda. Again, I don't think anyone outside China believes that. So I don't think his speech was taken very seriously, and I took it as that he was speaking to a domestic audience in China and trying to appear tough in front of his colleagues and in front of his government. Throughout the dialogue, the moderator actually had to cut off or try to cut off PLA delegates who were acting very obnoxious and belligerent questions of the presenters, including Secretary of Defense Hagel. There were no other delegates from any country who were doing anything even closely similar. It was very bizarre behavior. It's unimaginable, for instance, or you would just never see that. So the behavior that the Chinese delegation engaged in, I found to be unprofessional and not reflective of a confident and powerful country.
Thank you very much for joining us in this interview. We appreciate it.
A G7 summit of the industrialized nations concluded on Thursday in Brussels with a joint statement outlining 43 points. One of the issues mentioned were the ongoing tensions on the East Sea. Now, the leaders said in a joint statement that we are deeply concerned by tensions in the East and South China Sea. We oppose any unilateral attempt by any party to assert its territorial and maritime claims through the use of intimidation, coercion, and force. The statement, which did not mention any countries by name, called on all countries to follow international law to resolve issues peacefully. This is the first time the G7 leaders have released a statement expressing concerns about the tensions in the Asian waters. Now, many online news publications published a video on Friday showing a Chinese vessel intentionally ramming a Vietnamese fishing vessel. These aggressive and unilateral actions from China have raised international concerns and have cast doubt on China's claims of being committed to building a harmonious Asia and a prosperous world. Ignoring international criticism, China has not stopped its aggressive and callous actions that in violation of international laws. In fact, the Chinese media have lied to its people by accusing Vietnamese ships of initiating the violence. Regarding this problem, Vietnam Deputy Defense Minister Nguyễn Chí Vịnh said that the Chinese media is welcome to come on board Vietnamese Coast Guard ships to find out the truth.
Thưa ông là báo chí Trung Quốc gần đây đã vu cáo tàu thuyền. The Chinese media has accused Vietnamese ships of initiating the violence, intentionally harassing Chinese ships and forcing them to fire water cannon in response. What is your opinion on this statement?
Rõ ràng truyền thông Trung Quốc đã đưa thông tin sai, nó không đúng với sự thật.
This information is clearly untrue. I don't blame the Chinese media, but the source who fed them this information. If the Chinese media were to witness how the violence happened and learn the truth, I believe they would not publish such information, especially in regard to the violent ship sinking incident in Quảng Ngãi province that involved Chinese civilians. I saw the video of this incident yesterday, and I could not believe my eyes. I don't know what the Chinese on the ship were thinking at the moment when they rammed, flipped, and sunk a small Vietnamese ship and then just sailed away. They didn't even throw the Vietnamese fisherman a lifebuoy. Previously, Vietnamese and international reporters have been on Coast Guard ships to see the area where the oil rig Hai Giang CO 981 is placed. Once again, I'd like to invite Chinese and international reporters on our Coast Guard ships to see this area again. We guarantee their safety and we provide an opportunity for them to freely report and provide comments regarding the issue. I believe in this way the Chinese media will learn the truth. Secondly, I believe Vietnam is capable of responding to the aggressive actions from China's ships, but we didn't, because that would violate Vietnamese ethics and international law, and it would not solve the problem. I also believe that if any Chinese civilian and Chinese ship were to have trouble in this region, the Vietnamese Coast Guard would be there to help them return to safety. Our only purpose is to prevent violence and protecting our sovereignty.
While claiming that they are open to peaceful dialogue and a code of conduct in the sea, China is at the same time mobilizing many fishing ships, military vessels and aircraft to violently harass the Vietnamese Coast Guard and fishermen. What do you think about this?
Tôi buộc lòng phải nói rằng là nếu Trung Quốc cứ nói mà không đi đôi với làm như thế này.
If China keeps claiming one thing and does another, China will become an unreliable country. China's trustworthiness in the eyes of the international community and its neighboring countries will be at risk. More importantly, China's trustworthiness as deemed by its people will be at risk. We hope China will come to peacefully resolve this issue and stop the violence that is unbecoming of their proud tradition.
Thank you very much.
Nearly $5.5 million has been disbursed to support FDI companies in the southern province of Bình Dương after incidents in this province. The compensation is made by the Association of Vietnamese Insurers in collaboration with the Ministries of Finance, showing the efforts of Vietnamese government in implementing supporting solutions to enterprises.
The money disbursed to more than 100 FDI companies in the first stage of compensation claims is estimated to cover 5 to 10% of the total damage to these companies. It also shows that the insurance companies have taken their responsibilities seriously and have helped their customers resume production as soon as possible.
We highly appreciate the active role and timely response of insurance companies in compensating damaged enterprises after these incidents. We call for further support from insurers so that businesses can resume operation as soon as possible.
According to enterprise representatives, money received from insurers will be devoted to resuming the production. Chutex Textile International Company will spend $1 million received on buying new workbenches for laborers, ensuring their wages as well as companies' orders.
We even used the canteen to continue production. The help from insurers combined with our efforts mean we can resume 60% our previous productivity only in 2 weeks and 100% of our operation in 2 months. We will try our best to support our customers and compensate for them in a timely manner and in line with the direction of the government and our customers' contracts.
After only 1 month, new constructions have been built. Broken glass, damaged air conditioners, and other items have been replaced by new ones. In addition to these supports, further help from insurance companies will be needed to stabilize their businesses in the coming time.
Coming up next on VTV News, Telefilm 2014's Worlds of Regional Television and Media Industry. And in our weekly editions of Cultural Watch, Vietnamese and Swedish artists join hands in experimental concert.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
You're tuning into VTV News live from Hanoi. Vietnam Television is hosting the 3-day Vietnam International Exhibition on Film and Television Technology, or Telefilm 2014, in Ho Chi Minh City. In its second year, Telefilm 2014 has attracted more than 300 exhibitors from over 250 domestic and foreign companies, as well as more than 25 countries and territories.
After its successful collaboration with Vietnam Television on the feature film The Partner, Japan's TBS is looking for more opportunities to work in Vietnam and corner the country's 90 million audience. TBS has already received invitation to co-produce TV shows at this year's Telefilm with privately owned Vietnamese broadcasting firms.
Vietnam is a potential market for future cooperation, and Telefilm is a good opportunity of Vietnamese companies to gain experience and collaborate with international broadcasters.
Telefilm is giving us a lot of new leads, new possibilities to visit new customers in Vietnam. And also we have contacts now to Laos and Cambodia.
In its second year, the exhibition has expanded to include equipment, supplies, technology and solutions for studios and content production and post-production, not only for television, but also for the media and communication industry. Several Vietnamese media companies have signed contracts with foreign partners at Telefilm 2014. I hope this firm will find this event more and more helpful. With the advantage, a 90 million audience and a growing demand in the field of media, Vietnam is expected to become one of the top choices for film and television companies from around the world, with a professional investment strategy and long-term cooperation.
Like many other broadcasting firms, VTV hopes to find more cooperation opportunities through this event. In the future, this could be a potential exchange market for TV and media firms.
Telefilm has become an annual event for both domestic and international broadcasting firms. And in 2015, the exhibition is expected to grow by a further 50%.
Our weekly editions of Culture Watch this week will feature experimental music, a compositional tradition that arose in the mid-20th century. Here in Vietnam, the Six Tons, a contemporary Vietnamese-Swedish music group, have unveiled the first phase of a project named Arrival Cities Hanoi with an experimental concert. Let's now join me to experience the improvisation from different musical instruments and arts. And that is a part of the experimental concert named Arrival Cities Hanoi by the Six Tons group. So the Vietnamese traditional musical instrument, the Western electronic musical instrument, video art, and the life story of a tuồng artist. How can these four completely different elements work well together? Well, let's see how the artists practice for it. The Six Tons are having their final rehearsal with Swedish composer Kent Olofsson a few hours before the show in Hanoi. Having toured and performed together since 2006, the four-member Six Tons have successfully hybridized traditional Vietnamese musical styles to accommodate the addition of Western stringed instruments.
One way to do it is to work more with electronics. So in later versions, there will also be processing on the acoustic instruments, and they will sometimes sound more electronic. So that's one way to do it. Yeah. But otherwise, it's just a matter of what kinds of materials you play, and then you just find a mix between the sound of these. Yeah.
This composition was written by Swedish composer Kent Olofsson, who had never been to Vietnam before or listened to traditional Vietnamese musical instruments such as zither and monochord.
It's my first time here, so it's also very inspiring to know the country and the culture better. So I had a lot of input from the six tones, from the group. So yeah, step by step, I think we have come up with a lot of ideas.
Video art featuring the life story of Lưu Ngọc Nam, an actor and costume maker in traditional Tuồng theater, adds more color to the experimental concert. The footage was filmed by Swedish director and playwright Jörgen Dovest just a week ago. The video captures the Tuồng artist's homesickness and the tension between traditions that he experiences since he moved to Hanoi.
I moved to Hanoi decades ago when the country was still experiencing a tough time after the war. It was contrast with being at home where my parents took care of everything. There were times when I nearly quit my job, not because it was difficult, but because I was homesick.
Nam's life story is both interesting and touching. The story fits perfectly with our project and what we are researching. Arrival in Hanoi. The city is home to a large number of immigrants who have encountered a lot of difficulties living far from home.
After the show in Hanoi, the first version of Arrival Cities Hanoi will be premiered in Sweden in December this year. The final version will be a big installation work and triple concerto for 3 soloists, 6 video screens and an orchestra in 2016. Hoài Lương, Vietnam Television, Hanoi. And after Culture Watch is the updated weather forecast. And that's all we have for this hour. Do log on to vtv4.vn for more updated news. We'll be back at 3 p.m. Hanoi time right here on VTV International.